we are in this together.
You have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
That we must see. Now is the time, because it's when we all get together that we will make the changes that we must make. We are the world.
Welcome to Malcolm and We. We are now introducing our new show. Birgitte, tell us the name of the show.
So I called it Unnamed Creative Conversations, and I will explain why I chose that name. It was long thinking, but you go ahead now.
Okay, and we're going to be it's going to be a new show heard on malcolmpresents.com with Birgitte Ely?
Ben Ely.
Ben Ely. And of course, our co-host, Jana Larson. Anyway, Jana, take over and explain what's happening.
I will try to, Malcolm, fix what you've started.
Because I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, so usually it's up to me to fix Malcolm's problems. And so, yay, women. Anyway, so yes, this is malcolmpresents.com, and our show is Malcolm and We. And this is where we're using this platform, Malcolm and We, which is our generally weekly show on malcolmpresents.com, to be our sneak peek preview of shows that are going to be starting on the malcolmpresents.com side. Shows where people are coming in, guests that we've invited who have been on Malcolm and We already. And we think, wow, maybe there's an opportunity for them to go further, go farther, expand our awareness and all that good stuff. And so Birgitte has been on has been on Malcolm and We on malcolmpresents.com. She is also a We volunteer. She's going to cringe when I say that, but she's our volunteer extraordinaire. And well, she didn't cringe, sort of. And she is also our event manager, and she's been a great asset to We the World. Anyway, Malcolm, you're doing something funny with the screen there, just so you know. So anyway, she is going to start a show, and she's gonna, oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So she's gonna have a show on Malcolm Presents, and it's about art, and because she's also in her previous life and currently probably present, been an art historian in addition to other things.
Well,
so
I call her a bon vivant.
Oh, we
I like
yes.
that.
She has that French look with the black and white stripes and the red kind of like scarf to make an impact here. So anyway, Birgitte, my friend, my sister from another mother, talk about your show. I wanted to call your show On the Beat with Birgitte or something like that, The Beat with Birgitte, but you didn't like that. So you have another.
It's not that I didn't like it. No, it's not that I didn't like it. I had a million other ideas, a million others, art for exchange, etc., etc. And then I was thinking about it. I was brainstorming with friends. You know how this, you brainstorm, you go back, and then I agree where you were coming from, but I was thinking very hard. And then a friend of mine, she was hinting at, it was her idea too, when we brainstormed, that unnamed, it comes from, in Buddhism, it means like that it's the source of everything. And I kind of like that idea, it's like the inner essence of what we see. And it's not only in Buddhism, it's our Lao, it's Taoism more. It's not only in Taoism like this, it's also like, in philosophy, it's the same. It transcends everything, it's beyond the limitation of language, it's beyond the verbal expression. And another idea I liked, when I found that name and I was thinking about it, I know it's plain but unusual, and I was like, do I like it, do I not like it? But everything else I found and I like exists already a million times, and I'm like, but anyhow, I hope we are organically. So what I liked in Judaism, for example, the unnamed are the 36 righteous people who do good in the world. So they say that with every generation, you have 36 righteous people who save the world. So that is, and they are not known to anyone. They are not, they don't even know each other. So I like this idea of unnamed. And also in art and literature, you leave everything open. You leave it open for the those who listen. You leave it open for those who present. That you do, that I don't attach anything. That I'm open, and you know, we can find meaning without labeling. So that's why I kind of at the end chose this.
Very, very good.
Right. What I would
Go ahead.
What I'm thinking about when you say unnamed was it's like when someone looks at a piece of art or sees a movie, and you know, you ask a director or an artist, what does it mean? And generally the best answer that the artist or director could say is, well, what does it mean to you?
And that's why you do this in literature too. If you think about literature, you know, they often main characters, they don't have a name. It's either written from the first person perspective. So you have the possibility to identify. And I know it's very, again, the title is unusual, and maybe only those who are know a bit about religion or you know, philosophy or literature might understand why I named it like that. But again, let's take it for now and go from wherever that takes us. I'm not someone who thinks in a box. If everyone is unhappy, we can even do you know, polling or whatever, then we'll choose something else. But I did like the idea.
Really arty. You know, that it's really arty. Like if you ask an artist like what's your favorite part of the painting? And you know, what does this say to you? And my ex-husband, who was an artist, would say like I had to pay the bills or something like that. Or, you know, he likes this one little speck of blue that he put into this painting, and it took him forever to just get that certain specific, you know, hue of blue, and nobody else notices it.
It reminds me of, I just saw a movie called Finding Forrester. I don't know if you've seen that. Sean Connery. And it's about Sean Connery plays the part of this reclusive writer, and he wrote one novel when he was 24 that won the Pulitzer Prize, and he hasn't written anything since, and he stays in his room, but he befriends this young black kid who has a gift for writing, and he teaches him writing, and the kid gets you know, at the typewriter, Jamal, he gets at the typewriter, and Connery says, start writing, and he starts out slowly. He said, no, write what you feel. Don't think about it. He said, the first time that you write, when you put something down, put down your feelings. Second time when you write it, you can edit it. You can, you know, do what's correct. But right now, just yeah, put down what your feelings, put the words down. That's what, in essence, you're saying.
That exactly. And then
just write it as though you were speaking.
So
I was trying to think of
like
we are
all so quick. No, I was thinking that we're all so quick to judge and label, that I wanted to be open to anything and everything. And again, I like the religious, you know, from a religious or philosophical, I like the idea of being, you know, like in Judaism, the 36, you know, righteous people who are scattered throughout the world, and they are the good ones. And since we are not focusing necessarily in all the famous, but, you know, I have such a broad list of people I like to interview from all walks of life, who might be not the, you know, Marina Abramovic or whoever, all artists we know already. I like to give them a platform, and I like this, and I want it's going to be international, and it's going beyond borders. And I like that we connect, that we see our common good, our common even heritage.
Because
even though
you
different
do have
cultures.
that.
Pardon, go ahead.
Yeah, because you do have that advantage of you've lived in many countries. You know, you're very well educated, not just book knowledgeable, but just culturally knowledgeable.
Yeah, but give us a brief background. You know, as I say, your name itself, you know, It's a little mysterious. I don't know anyone by the name of Birgit. I don't. Do you, Ayana?
It's
Well, I
not an
don't know anybody by the
uncommon
name of
No.
name,
Yana.
and
Do you know another Yana?
No,
That's
that's the thing. I
true.
don't know another Yana, but Birgit is a little more. Yana, I've heard, but I've never
Yeah,
heard of
no, and
Birgit.
nobody
No,
pronounces
I
her
don't
name
think Birgit
correctly.
is
And I'm always correcting her. And then she always goes, stop that, stop that.
You know,
Because she
it's very
doesn't want people
funny.
to concentrate on her name, but you know, it's okay. That's the way
You know what?
somebody else has to do it.
It's a relative common name in North Europe, especially Scandinavia. And since everyone kept asking me, I always knew it meant strength or power, but then I was just, okay, now I have to look what it means since everyone is asking me, and I never thought about it. And it sounds wonderful, and I'm like, oh, that sounds good, you know. So Birgit is the name for the baby whose eyes look upon the world with wisdom and curiosity. I don't. It sounds too good.
Ooh.
The excited one, the saver, the rescuer. So I don't want to, you know, call
No, I
myself
think
that, but I've
that
never checked
describes
the
you.
meaning. Nah, but I never, you know, I've never checked the meaning. But so many people kept asking me, you know, like, sounds good to me. But I'm not the rescuer. But I do
Well,
like.
it's very apropos for you.
Yeah, it is. I
We'll
think mine is
see.
a derivative of Jane, which means like beloved. What does Malcolm mean?
What does Malcolm mean?
I don't know. The only thing Malcolm I know was the son of Duncan, who was the King of Scotland in Macbeth.
Ah,
Yeah. So
But as
is
far
it
as
a
I
good
don't know,
Scottish name?
Scottish name.
Yeah, is it? Is it a
Well,
good Scottish name?
well, actually, if I could go by my Hebrew name, which would be Mordechai.
Mordechai?
that you can do
Mordechai.
too. Yeah.
That's what I
It's
learned when I went,
wow.
you know, before my bar mitzvah.
oh, you didn't know about
Oh.
your Hebrew name before?
No, no, not really. What's funny, you know,
Why did your parents chose Mordecai? But we are deviating here. But that's interesting.
actually, it's called Matcha Shloima in Yiddish.
Okay.
I'm named after my grandfather, who was
Okay.
Marcus.
Oh.
And my mother
Ooh.
didn't want to name me Marcus because Mark was a very common name when I was born, or Michael was a very common name. So she picked
Yeah.
Malcolm, which was a very uncommon name at the time. Of course, it's
So
now.
Malcolm, you're descended from the Russian Jewish people, correct?
I
Your
believe so.
ancestry?
I cannot trace my heritage further than the Lower East Side of Manhattan, but I do believe that
Did you ever do a DNA test?
I did a DNA test, and the thing was that I'm 99.6% Ashkenazi Jew from
Wow.
from
Eastern
Europe.
Europe, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no,
That's
I could be
incredible.
I could be Russian, I could be Ukrainian, I could be
Polish,
Polish,
everything. Yeah.
but I'm
Well, I
99.6%
have a lot of Eastern European in me.
Ashkenazi Jew, and
So
Ashkenazi
yeah.
means from that part of Eastern Europe.
It
And the
means
other
you're
part
not
would be there'd be Sephardic Jews who are more from like Spain.
Spain and Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah, because during the Spanish Inquisition, there was a large Jewish population that were either had to convert or leave. So
Yeah, my husband's family is from Portugal.
right.
Oh.
So a lot of Jewish who originally were Jewish don't even know they were Jewish. I think it was Mary Albright, who was the Secretary of State, found out that she was a Sephardic Jew when they traced her heritage.
There are quite a number of people, you know, who found that out by doing these DNA tests.
Right. And have you done a DNA test?
Like,
no, I've never done one.
Names are like art, right? Getting back to the subject here, you know.
Why get back to the subject? No.
I'm trying to keep us on track, Malcolm.
But anyway, Birgit, let's get back to who you are.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
You're a mother.
That's always a good.
You have 2
daughters. No, at your beginning.
What are you adding there? My beginning. So my beginning.
Where were you born?
So I was born in Germany.
In a enchanted forest, there was born a little girl.
That's a long story. Let's make it short. So I was born in Germany. I lived for the past 22 years in New York, and in between between Germany and New York, I lived in several other countries for academic reason and for professional reason until I landed here. I was always working in the art, culture, creative field. So not only as an art historian in museums and auction houses and galleries, but I was also, doing films. I was, I lived in the 90s in Hungary, which just opened the borders, and it's probably still nowadays. A lot of filmmakers, they come to Hungary and do films there because it was always cheaper than doing it somewhere in the West. I don't know if that still applies. So I got drawn into this, that I was scripting partly, for some films. Once I ended up in the film where the producer said, yeah, you are exactly the one I want. And I'm like, no, thank you. But I ended up in the film. I can't even remember the title, but it was done by a very well-known filmmaker. But it's such a long time ago, and I can't remember the title. Yeah, it would be funny to find that, but I can't even.
I think it was.
Yeah, but it was whatever. So I did a million things. I wrote expertise about artwork. I was working as a language and art consultant. I was translation, radio, whatever you can imagine, but always in the art field. So and now I'm here in New York, and now I'm with We, and I'm very happy that I found my family in the United States. Because other than that, we don't.
So actually, you're a woman of the world.
She is.
Well, no, not really. You know what? I could be, but most places I used to live in, they were in Europe. So and then top on, then it was like Israel and the United States. So all the other places were in Europe. If we could, but I would. But now I'm here for now. We'll see where that leads us.
You have to experience the Asian culture. Well, actually,
I wouldn't mind going to Asia. Actually, I was talking with a friend about that. I would not mind, but it's difficult once you have children, because that's what we did to our parents, right? They all they passed, but they're all abroad. And that, it's not easy when you leave your family behind. So my kids always say they hope that this is not going to happen to them, but they want to be close to us. But who knows?
Yeah. Then when I say woman of the world, the actual meaning is that you don't have, a viewpoint just from one particular place. You've been around, you've been around different places, and you've experienced different cultures. So you're
for me,
like what this show is unnamed is. You see things in a different light. You don't see things necessarily through, the person who's lived in one place for their entire life.
I think it helps. I think it helps a lot, and I was just thinking, I don't know, this conversation came up in different other contexts, but I was thinking about it. So like very little, I always mention this when we have these conversations and like with We, that this experience I had shows you that we share more than what divides us, but we forget this if we live in certain places. I'm not attached to a place, so I can take myself out of context. And many friends I have here are similar. So when we can joke about our countries, we can also joke about the other countries without any of us feeling insulted. We can have open conversations with understanding each other, that there's no malintent behind, but it's rather the curiosity about the other. And I can give you a very little example. I mean, in the EU, you have the different countries, joining in the EU, and they're all very different. And, coming from Germany, like Northern Europe, they might complain about the Southern Europe, that they work so hard, but they don't work so hard. While then when I'm in the South and I'm with friends there, they said, oh, these North Europeans, they have so much money, why don't they give more? And so they complain about each other without seeing each other's perspective. And I'm not saying that both of them are valid now, but instead of finding a common denominator, it's rather, even the European Union, this is the smallest part because they are not at war, like many other places. They are against each other culturally, even though each one has their, not right, I don't know how you want to call it, each one has their own perspective. Maybe it may be right or wrong, it doesn't really matter, but the tendency to always go to, human beings have the tendency to elevate themselves above someone else. But if you lived like I did in different countries, you see I tell you, whenever someone asks me, where do you want to live? I said, I don't have a place, because my place is my family, my friends. That's my home. Because if I look at countries, each country has their advantages and disadvantages. And if you ask me, I would combine, doesn't matter, take Italy, take Germany, whatever you take, I would combine it and put it into a new country altogether if we could, but we can't. So, and coming back, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're living in New York City, and as you described with your children being able to grow up in environments where there were children from all different places. Now, that's not how a lot of places could say that they have experience, like on the West Coast. So, like when you've lived in the United States for a long time now, have you lived anywhere else for any amount of time? Or if you were to move from New York City, is there a place that you would like to be, you think?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. But now we get into a territory which is very hard to say. I have been at other places because I used to give lectures. So I've been lecturing in LA, I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, I was in different places. Can I imagine living somewhere else? You know what? I have these conversations with many friends, and at the end of the day, I don't know how you are. The only thing I need in my life is people I can connect to. So the place doesn't really matter unless it's safe. So again, when you ask me within the States, I remember when my husband used to do a rotation at UMass in Massachusetts, and I had to pick him up in the middle of the night, and cars were getting, driving next to me, whatever. And I, having lived not in the States before, even though I've been there here a few times, I had these ideas of, gun violence and whatever, but it's even a reality here. So can I live somewhere else? I certainly can, because the place doesn't really matter. It's the people that matter to me. So the place is not, I don't want to be in a too cold place and too hot place if that climate matters, But
Right.
I think it's, to me, people matter.
As long as your friends are around you and your families are around you, I think
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can imagine somewhere else.
All right. Now getting back to what you want to do, I know that since I've been talking to you, you have been talking to a lot of artistic people who also happen to be your friends. And because you know so many different kinds of people, not only because of your personality, but because of where you've been and how you live and what you have the opportunities to interact with. So what do you think your first show is going to be? Have you decided?
I haven't decided yet, but I'm so, since we were so busy, I didn't know when we are starting. I didn't send out my letters yet, but I do have a long list of friends coming from all sorts of background. And coming back to this, I do not want to confine this just to the arts. I like to confine it to all people who are in the creative field. So I'm looking at the list I have from my friends, that it's art too, or it's being creative, because I think creativity and culture and art can lead us to better places, can lead us to better understanding, and can connect us.
Dance, in theater, and all
it can help us. Yeah. So I want to, explore all creative lives and journeys and stories, and connect it and hope that people, that's on everything that is creative, insightful, educational, entertaining, international, cross culture, to show at the end that we are all the same, no matter from which walks of life we come, even in the arts, that that we are connected, and again, it opens up new avenues, to look into these, to go into these fields.
I always get fascinated by creative people, because I think I'm in a way creative, but like when I interview them, it's sort of like I'll interview a musician, and the musician will have the sound in his head. He hears it. Or when you see things like when I saw the Leonard Bernstein movie Maestro, it's sort of, he hears the music, he hears the different parts coming in. Or when you hear an artist speak, they see it, and they take that picture in their head and they put it on the canvas. And I'm always fascinated by this. And as we originally talked, I'd like to, not to speak about the masters, we might get into that everybody knows and that they're different things, but people who are first getting into the fields, who, have creative possibilities, like this thing for Finding Forrester, that's same type of thing. That they hear the words and they put it down. They don't have to think about it. And that was the whole thing. Don't think, do it. And I'd like to, to see if you could get to people like that in all forms of the art.
I like that. I like this idea too, because it's an inspiration to all of us. It teaches us, it inspires us, it connects us, and it creates solidarity. And people come from different, people come from different walks of life. So, I understand what you said. Some just have it in their head, but others they don't. I know others. Writer's block is very common, right? I mean, that people, they want to write something, but then they have a writer's block. So that's not very uncommon. So it's very interesting to hear these different stories, of what inspired them. How do they get? However, what brought them to where they are nowadays. And what are their plans for tomorrow, and what are they doing now, and what's their intention with their work,
and how art world has changed so much. Like when you think about, like, I remember in the movie about the girl with the pearl earring, and
Yeah.
how in those days you had to have a benefactor who could like really rule your life, and get away with things and whatever. And so it took somebody who was wealthy, who could provide for the family so the artist could paint. And that happens a lot. But then, of course, there are many who can't. And so it's very hard, very difficult to be a full-time artist, and be able to pay the bills, because it's a whole different setup that we have now.
It's not easy.
But and then also, I think that the cool thing to think about when we talk about art, and as we talked about this whole subject, is making art be approachable, instead of like art with a capital A. It can be, you can see art everywhere when you don't just put a capital A at the beginning of it, and then also
That's true.
to explore one's own creativity, because you ask a young child, are you a dancer? Yes, I'm a dancer. Are you a fireman? Yes, I'm a fireman. Are you an artist?
That's
yes,
true.
I'm an artist. And then they start taking art classes, and they start, like feeling like, oh, I can't do this. I'm not an artist. And so that's why a lot of people, including myself, draw stick figures, that were like I did when I was 10 years old. And I
You still do.
progress much beyond that. Sadly.
That's true. That's true.
That's why, or at least I admire people who can do things. Who can.
What do you mean, do things? You do things.
Who can take it out of their mind and put it down either on paper
and
or
turn
on
it into some
canvas
creative
Oh.
project. That's true.
or building.
Yeah, they can. Like if they draw a self-portrait, they can draw something that looks like themselves, instead of me just putting, I'm going to make a kind of an egg shape here, and then I'm going to like draw a line down the middle, and that's the nose, and then here two eyes.
Or not, or I know my problem is not being afraid of criticism. I like when I do my writing, I self-judge.
I think many of us do that, because that's how we grew up. That's why Unnamed is fantastic, right? Because I want it to be non-judgmental, that the person who's interviewed can attribute the meaning to it or label it if they want to, or the person who watches or listens to it can label it and give meaning to it, not label in a judgmental, but give meaning to it. And the other thing that Jana said before too, that the arts, there's so many advantages behind the creative field, and in addition to for individual advantages, but also what we give to the world. And I think, as Jana mentioned before, it's in some ways still such an exclusive club, as you know, how many people walk past the gallery and it looks all chic and fancy, and they don't just walk in and look. So I like to make it accessible. I like to make art and culture accessible, because I think it is important for all of us. It does. Art and culture has the the possibility to connect us, and I'm sure many other subjects do. But for that, you need to be open, to being beyond, culture. And if you have a niche in science or in engineering, it's already a particular niche where it might be harder to, even it would be great too, right? To have maybe a show about that you make that accessible to others, because often it isn't. It's easier to listen to someone who talks about life and art than someone who talks about technology or science. But so I think art and culture, or both, yeah. So I think it does have a special place, which I think we often underestimate. We spoke about this also before, that if when something is cut, it's the humanities, it's art and culture that's cut in schools, so it's so underestimated.
I think a problem is, especially in this country, that when someone mentions art or fine music, they think that you have to be, rich or sophisticated. It's not for the common man.
Yes.
But I remember when years ago I used to work for a classical music station. And if the truth be known, the people who listen to classical music or opera, it's always say, oh, they're the rich folks, the high society. No, they're not. Because in this country, yes. But if you see the people from other countries, they're the common man. They're the people of the street. And they listen to opera, and they listen to the classical music and Beethoven and Bach. They're not the rich, sophisticated people. They're the people, again, the people of the street. And that's what we fail to realize. If we talk about art, we talk, oh yeah, you have to, you go to the museums and you have to know this or that. No, you have to be able to feel.
I agree.
And you don't have to know about all the artists in order to be an artist oneself. And I like to say, there's the art of folding napkins. There's the art of folding paper. There's, the art of doing anything well, then it becomes an art.
That's true. So I hope this, this show is also going to be an inspiration beyond being a writer, beyond being a fine artist, beyond being a musician, that we all find our creative inner self and are able to express that we realize it's not exclusive, it shouldn't be elitist, and that we realize how important that is for our personal
the art of, like my art, the art of making things out of plastic bags. Do you know how hard it is to make something in a flat circle, crocheting plastic bags together?
I know someone who does that, actually. Maybe I should I should put on. You do that too?
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I do. I don't have anything to grab right now and show you, but yes.
I have another friend who is on my list.
Yeah. And my art is how to keep a show under 30 minutes.
Did you succeed?
I sense a warning here from Malcolm.
Which of course we've reached our 30-minute limit. But anyway, guys,
cut.
I'm looking forward to the show. And
I'm excited.
It still might be a few weeks away, but you guys are going to talk about it, because you're basically Brigitte and Jan. Basically, you're going to be the two main people. I'm going to bow out of this and let you guys go it alone, because I think both of you have the feeling.
We do. We have the feeling, and we have the vibe, and we have the vim and the vigor, and we have the know-how. And so we're going to make this be a really great thing to do with.
Right.
And this is our welcome out to everybody, even if we haven't interviewed you already, and you think you have something you'd like to do with us with MalcolmPresents.com, let us know.
Yeah. And guys, thank you very much. And I look forward not to being part of the show, but watching the show.
You have plenty to do, I assume.
Anyway, you're listening
Thank you so much.
You're listening to MalcolmPresents.com. And if you need us, go to actually Malcolm Berman at gmail.com. Berman is Burman. And speak to you guys next week or before. Bye.
Bye.
The objective of the organization, We the World, is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.